So, hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time I show you a game between Houdini 4x64B versus Stockfish 1.0 YA. I let them play the position you see here. Houdini with the white pieces, Stockfish with the black pieces. This is the first ever Stockfish version versus some older Houdini version. So I let them play this position, which arises after I let them play without opening book or table bases, and this position arises after e4, e5, knight 3, knight c6, bishop b5, so the Rui Lopez Spanish opening, and after knight f6 we enter the Berlin defense. For those who don't know, you cannot really grab anyway, in this case the e4 pawn is hanging anyway, but okay, I let them play the move d3, and after d6, h3 stopping bishop g4, g6 preparing bishop g7, castles bishop g7, rook e1, adding a defender to the e4 pawn, so maybe you can get d4 in, and now a6 I captured, and other moves would be either bishop c4 or bishop a4, but okay, I captured, and after the recapture ring of the pawn, of the knight, of the bishop, it's white's move again, and this position has never been seen before, at least not in classical Grandmaster or International Master or FIDE Master games, and this position should be around equal. And let's see, maybe there are many options white can choose from, either knight c3, knight d2 to f1 to g3, but this is in that case not so impressive, I think, because those squares here are covered from the black pawn, so probably knight c3 either immediately or after, let's say, c4, also possible is c3 followed up with d4, but opening up the center with this bishop lurking around, I don't know if this is such a great idea, so I would prefer knight c3, and let's say castles. You could maybe try and go d4 anyway. Let's say captures, knight takes, c5. Well, c5, I don't know. Knight c3. Okay, queen there. And where is the knight going? Okay, the knight could reroute via a5 to c4. But what is it doing from there? Maybe it can support the d4 push. So, but anyway, I wouldn't go there. Would maybe go to d2, prepare f4, f5, and also try to go g4. Let's say bishop here to add one more attacker to this pawn here. So let's say knight f4 is also an option to control this d5 square even more, and now the knight is also covering this pawn here one more time. So let's say you go here, rook there, adding one more attacker to the pawn. Let's say, can you go knight here? Knight takes, knight takes. You could probably go there, but I will go f3. Knight d7 maybe, with the idea of bishop g4 check, and knight to d5. So black hasn't got any problems here. So let's see how to prevent this. So let's say bishop d3, preventing that threat. Knight d5, a knight here, knight there. I will probably go with the other knight. I don't know if it makes any difference, but knight here is an option. And now maybe f5. Although f5, I'm not sure about f5 here. Let's try and go c6 just, trying to get rid of this knight. Knight here, and now d5. Maybe this is an option. Takes, takes, knight takes, bishop takes, knight takes. I don't know if this is an option. Knight here, attacking the bishop and the pawn. you go back defending the pawn, then bishop g4 check interferes with the queen's defense of the knight, and then you just lose the knight, let's say. So this would be completely busted. So maybe d5 is an option. Sacrificing a pawn like this, also the bishop with knight here to follow. Okay, you could eliminate that pawn. But well, there is another threat. Rook takes and queen takes pawn. So I'm not sure if this is possible to grab this guy here. Knight takes, bishop takes, knight here. Okay, at least you cannot grab this c6 pawn. But if you go there, then knight takes, and bishop g4. First of all, I think you have to, yeah, bishop g4, adding one more attacker to the knight. So queen here, defending the knight, and now maybe f5, threatening f4, so the king has to move. Now let's see, queen here. So now the knight can't move because the rook would hang. So still the knight is pinned and f5 is threatened. So f4, let's say. You could even go g5 here. I'm not sure if this is also great, because knight here attacking the queen. Okay, well, no, this doesn't work because this comes with check, so this is not on. Okay, very interesting, this line, very interesting. So let's see what we got here. We got knight c3 and c5 by Stockfish. So c5 preventing d4 from black, also preparing bishop b7. So let's go bishop g5 in that case. Here. Because capturing here, capturing there, the bishop is already defending the knight. This doesn't make any sense. But the bishop here is also not so bad. So knight here, let's say. Here you kind of don't want to mess around. Now knight here, you kind of have to eliminate it. Knight takes, pawn takes, and well, the plan is maybe for black bishop to e6, bishop queen d7, bishop f6, rook g8, and capturing on h3. And what is white's plan? Bust open the center maybe. Okay, first of all, knight d5. Okay, knight d5 is met with c6, so I'm not sure if this is helping, but you kind of have to free the square c3 so that you can play c3 d4. At least I would do that. So let's say knight to d2. Bishop d6, continue with the plan. c3, queen here, king there, let's say. And now castling queenside. And now d4. Grabs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if black should grab this, opening up the c file like this. I would just leave it that way. And rook there. Okay, well, there is a threat, this one, because here this is not on. Bishop takes. The other thing, what I wanted, before I go with the game continuation, bishop e3, the other thing is, what I wanted to mention is, after, let's say, d4, if white just does nothing, let's say rook c1, bishop f6, a3, then you could have this grabbing there, followed up with grabbing there. followed up with rook here. I'm not sure if this is even working for black. Dismantling here like that. Okay, you could go this check first. Rook here, and bishop takes the... Well, it's just a transposition. Doesn't make any sense because rook g1 defends everything. So, well, anyway, we have a different game continuation here. Just wanted to see if this is working. This is one plan at least. So, going back a couple of moves. I think this is too much for white, this position. After knight e2, bishop e3, 3, king there, castles, and d4. Okay, you kind of have to grab this. White gets something out of this, takes, and now knight takes here, attacking the bishop. Also this pawn will fall. So let's see, rook there. No. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Bishop here, maybe pinning the knight to the king, so you kind of have to grab it. Grabs, and yeah, this position should be playable for both sides. Not sure what's the big deal here for either side, but anyway. Okay, let's go with the game continuation. So we didn't have all that. We had bishop e3 and rook b8 by Stockfish, going after the b pawn. Rook a b1, defending, going out of this line. And now maybe castling. Looks like an interesting position to me, and I have to look something up now. Yeah, but currently there is no big fireworks on the board. So let's say castles, queen d2. Queen d2, preparing bishop h6 to get rid of this bishop here. Also maybe bishop g5 could be now more attractive. So what to do here? Let's go c6 to prevent any knight jumps. Bishop g4. g5, I mean. Let's say d5, grabs. Yeah, okay, in that case this doesn't work because the e-pawn would hang. So you kind of have to prepare this. Let's say rook e1. This is always a good preparation move. Rook e1. No, d4 doesn't work, so maybe there is this knight maneuver to d1 to d3, but what to do with that knight? That's the question. Where should it go? Where should it go? Where is the useful move for white? Let's say b3. So d5 is what black wants to get in. But what does white want? Let's go knight h4, because now you could go d5. Okay, d5, grabs, and f4 maybe. f4. Then h3, takes, attacking the knight back, and d5. Okay, takes, threatening the bishop, so d5 doesn't work. So after the knight goes, after this, black has a huge center, yeah, that's true. But what to do with it? Let's say bishop e7, bishop b7. But now you could grab this guy here. So this is also not so great. So let's try that one here. Okay, then you lose this pawn. So it's kind of, the position is kind of disgusting for black. There is this huge center, but what to do? what to do. Okay, you could grab it, just grab the pawn, go in for that, takes, and queen takes f4, bishop g7, and go from there. Although then you still lose the d5 pawn, so it's not so easy to go d5. So in that position, if you captured there, then rook takes, queen takes there, and now queen here. Can still grab this guy here. Oh no, this is even worse. Just recognize this, the rook is also hanging after this. After this exchange, the bishop and the rook are hanging, everything is hanging, so this he takes f5 doesn't work anyway, so you kind of have to do something else. Let's go d5. d5, knight here, trying to grab the bishop. Okay, bishop g7, and now e takes, bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes here, f4, knight there, threatening mate, and the rook, so the rook moves back. You could also grab this guy, no, but grabbing it, I don't know. This is so great. Anyway, this pawn is also hanging. So, okay, this d5 doesn't work because of just grabs, and f4. f4 is such a great move. Okay, maybe h6 is a little bit too much. f4, because after h6, the knight, and then this knight returns back. And this could be the end of black. So, what to do there for black? Maybe grabbing this pawn immediately. Takes, queen takes. Okay, now the knight is hanging, but okay, you have this tempo move attacking the queen. No, the knight is hanging and the rook is hanging. So you have nothing here. You have nothing. The knight is hanging and the rook on b8 is hanging. Because after this, there is also the long threat of taking the rook here, as well as taking the knight. So you can never take on f4 in that case. So takes f4. You shouldn't take on f4. Also, if you take e takes f, then taking here immediately is kind of great. But okay, we have bishop d6, which is more to the point than c6, I think. So bishop e6. I think c6 is a little bit wrong. Here, in this variation, I just showed that I saw that connecting rooks, or that all pieces are connected and somehow defending each other, is very important. But okay, here we have a3. Because this pawn was attacked, the a pawn is under attack, so a3. Okay. Let's see both evaluations right around here. Houdini thinks it's equal, Stockfish thinks it's equal, so it should be around equal. This position still. So a3, both engines have, Houdini used a little bit more time, has 4 minutes left, Stockfish has 10 minutes, but I know the first time control wasn't reached just yet. So after a3, what's Stockfish's plan? Can you now go d5, takes, knight takes, bishop takes, d5, yeah, you could go d5 here. Because if taking there, then d4 forking the pieces. So you cannot take there, you kind of have to take care of this first, and then you can take with the knight, and now the bishop is covering this pawn here. So let's say d5. Knight takes, and Okay, you cannot allow knight takes, queen takes, and e4 with an attack on the knight and on the queen. So, but what you can do is just grabbing this guy here. Okay, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, rook takes, and rook e1. White is up a pawn, but black still has the bishop pair, and white still has to figure out what to do. So knight takes, pawn takes, knight takes, pawn takes, rook e1. So the threat is now e4. The threat is now e4. What is white doing? So let's say knight here. e4, knight takes, pawn takes, and bishop back, takes, and queen here. Okay, then d4. This is just a great position for white now. Up a pawn, everything going for it. So I'm not sure if d4 is now available. So let's say just queen here. Knight g4, d4. Takes, bishop takes, knight takes, attacking the bishop. Now this pawn is defended. The knight is covered, so let's go f4. Knight takes f4, it doesn't work because bishop takes, and if you take back then the queen is hanging. So it's not so easy. Knight f4, but you could maybe try pawn takes f4, bishop takes f4, and where is the queen going? Let's see, queen here. Trying to go after the b pawn. Well, anyway, isn't the b pawn hanging? No, it's not. It's only after e takes f, bishop takes f, queen f3, and now c3. Maybe followed up with knight d4. Oh, we have a move by Stockfish, not d4, but knight h5. After a3, knight h5. Yeah, d4 doesn't look so interesting. At least not this kind of variation. White has a good position here. The knight is hanging. Rook d4 could come. It's not so bad. It's not so bad for white. So let's go back a couple of moves. Oh, we have b4 now. So castles, knight here, bishop e6, a3, and now we had knight h4 and b4 by Houdini. And now maybe f5. f5 could be the idea, threatening f4. So takes, rook takes, bishop takes, and knight d4, taking off the rook, bishop takes. I don't see any compensation for this, so f5 doesn't work quite yet. So pawn takes. I would go pawn takes here. C takes b4, rook takes b4, and c takes b4, c takes b4, a takes b4, and f5. This is what Houdini is giving. f5, threatening f4, so you have to do something about it. Well, okay, you could go bishop h7, but after rook b7, the bishop seems kind of trapped, so okay, let's take it. Takes, and knight g4. If that, then knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, attacking the rook. The rook has to move, and now taking the knight, and black is up a whole piece. So this doesn't work. Knight g4. So you have to prevent any f4 ideas. I think you shouldn't even take this. Well, actually, takes f4. You can take it No, you can't, because the knight is also covering it and the rook. So f4 is kind of strong. What about rook takes? Ja?
Måste kort på det.
Egentlig lidt nu. Sinds pointed off.
Just så. Nej, det har pappa sagde det på.
Ja.
Du visste så om 13 spin fan.
In eine halbe Stunde. So made rook takes, pawn takes, and f5. Yeah, what to do against f4? f4 is the threat, so you kind of takes, and queen d2, and after f4, bishop d7, knight f6. Black has a good game there. Yeah, black has a good game there. I don't know where white went wrong in that position, but it's kind of difficult to say. Well, it doesn't look that wrong, but f5 looks like a great move to me. And a thematic move as well, so f5. This is the interesting part. So rook takes b4, pawn takes b4, f5, threatening f4, queen there. I don't even know if you want to go f4, taking, knight takes, d4, knight d3, d4, bishop there. Knight f5 looks also quite interesting to me, because knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, and queen g4 already threatening mate. So you kind of have to eliminate this guy here. Oh, well, anyway, the queen is hanging. So forget what I just said. Oh, this is terrible anyway. What am I just doing? You can just pick up the knight. I'm not sure. f5 looks like the way to go. f5, knight g5 is what Stockfish gives, but f5, knight g5, f4. Oh, knight g5, bishop d6, bishop back to c8. Let's try this again. Knight g5, f4, knight takes, pawn takes, knight takes, pawn takes, rook there, rook takes. Looks kind of forced, and black is up a piece, so this doesn't work. So knight g5 you kind of can forget because of f4. Not sure. Knight g5, f4. Knight takes. Oh, knight takes. Pawn takes. You can just go queen takes, for example, and now there is this fork. So white would be up the exchange. Sorry. White would be up the exchange. So it kind of works. Okay, the bishop has to go back now. Now f4 is threatened. So let's grab this, grab that, and go here and attack the knight. So f4 doesn't really work because taking here already threatens mate. So it's kind of interesting still. So after queen d2 you cannot go f5. You can just retreat the knight, and now f5. Well, f5 is not so dangerous because the bishop can retreat back. But what is white actually doing here? Let's try d5, c4, d5, trying to come in here anyway. Knight here, getting rid of that knight if it's allowed. Takes, rook takes, and queen h4. But here you can defend with either queen there or bishop takes f5. Oh, wow. We have different line here, but this was also kind of interesting. So f5. We had takes and bishop takes f5. What about g4 here? This is oh, g4 takes, takes, rook takes, queen takes, and queen h4 ends. It could be very dangerous for the white king now. But we have d4. d4 is, so bishop takes f5 and d4 now. d4 breaking in the center. Stockfish gives bishop takes h3. A better position for white. Both engines agree that this is a better position for white. So bishop takes h3, pawn takes a3. Oh, bishop takes a3 has the idea of removing the defender of the knight, so that's why bishop takes h3. So taking there, let's say, taking there, and now you could grab this guy here. So this is the idea behind that. But okay, you could also go bishop takes, but then you have knight takes. Why bishop takes h3 here? Bishop takes h3, taking there. You cannot really go back, so you kind of have to go bishop takes h3 now, threatening the knight. So king takes, now the knight is defended. And now bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, rook takes. Okay, black has got 2 pawns for the piece, but I think it's not enough. It's just not enough in that endgame. But we have bishop takes h3 anyway, so what's the point? What's the point? E takes d4. What about the exchange sacrifice? Rook takes, pawn takes, and bishop takes there. Don't think there is a way to white's king, but anyway, this has to be investigated. So bishop takes h3, d takes e5, queen c8. Queen c8 is what Houdini gives. Still, if you capture the bishop, the knight is hanging, but if you just continue eating pawns, okay, then queen g4. threatening mate, so pawn here, and now this, and threatening mate again. So you cannot go pawn grabbing. There is a real threat of queen here. So what to do? Okay, you could eat the bishop now. Sorry. You could eat the bishop now, but then rook takes here and okay, kind of taking there. Queen takes, pawn takes here, threatening queen h4, d8 check. Knight here, pawn takes, rook takes. Queen here, rook there, check, king there, and queen here, mate. So it's kind of a dangerous attack. You cannot allow everything, because knight here is with the mate threat. And if you accept the knight, then you go mate anyway. So let's say you check over there. Bishop here, check over there. Wins the rook. So yeah, but still queen here. No, then this is also defended. So queen here. And now you can just, yeah, this is now dead lost. Also this pawn is promoting, so there is nothing. So bishop takes h3 is a little bit too harsh, I think. There are chances after bishop takes h3, but yeah, well, the line I wanted to know is g takes h3, rook takes, and d takes. What about if you take this with the rook? Taking it with the rook. Then then d7, and you have to go there. And now bishop here. Okay, you could go there, but after bishop takes, knight takes, and king here, there is really nothing. There is just nothing. Rook back, and yes, even that is possible, I think. No, not quite yet. Bishop here, pawn, bishop there, rook here immediately is possible. So it's completely dead. So I don't see anything here. Rook c8 was played, and now grabbing the bishop. Bishop h3, rook takes f3. 2 4 5 versus 2 4 5, so still equal on pawns, but also after this it's equal on pawns. But the problem is just that move here. There is no mate. What about this? Check, check, queen blocks. There is just, oh, the rook is hanging. Well, there's something changed here. Something changed here completely, drastically. But after that, and it doesn't matter, there is this block anyway. King f1. Okay, let's say queen here check, king there, queen here check, king there. And now you have to stop the promotion, so you have to go after the pawn. But after bishop here, it's kind of difficult to do something. Check, check, queen here, check, king there. Okay, you kind of can take this one now, but it doesn't really matter. Check. Now just grabbing yet another queen. Okay, still there are a lot of options. Okay, queen d4 was played. Oh yeah, immediately. This is what I also saw, but only later I recognized this possibility. So after G takes h3, rook takes. This is not the problem, as I just saw somehow. The problem is this check, and now the rook has to go back because it's a double attack. And now what to do? Knight e4. Knight c3 to e4. What about grabbing that guy? Then this one could be annoying. Attacking the rook, defending the h-pawn. So this knight e4 is terrible. The same would happen if this, then also knight e4, attacking the rook, attacking the queen and the rook. And if that, then you could just exchange everything, going into that winning endgame. Yeah, it's just terrible. This is just terrible. Let's see both evaluations here. Rook went back, so bishop h3 was interesting, but I think not working. Both engines might think that this is still playable for black, but for me I think it's too much. Well, it was just an exchange of pieces, but okay. Let's go back a couple of moves. Both engines agree that this wasn't the mistake. So knight c3 we saw. Knight e4 and now h6, preventing knight g4, h6. And e takes d6. Queen takes here, queen takes h3. And now d4. I don't see how to prevent this now. So you cannot grab the h-pawn and again, so you have to play pawn takes. And now what? So we have 4 versus 4 pawns, but for white a lot of things are hanging. It's not so easy actually to find a good move for white. This pawn is hanging, this pawn is hanging. I think that one is more important. Although the queen by itself can't do that much. h3, e takes d6, c6. Why not just grabbing that? Oh, the d6 pawn is on the thread, so knight takes would fork again. So you cannot even grab this back. So c6, attacking the queen. d6 takes with check maybe. King here. And now knight d6. Knight takes, pawn takes. Oh, where should I analyze this? This is completely for nothing. c6, d6, you have to go there now. And you have to c6, d7, queen takes d7. Oh, queen takes d7 is possible, yeah. Queen takes d7. Queen takes, rook takes. And now bishop takes h6. Wow. Bishop takes h6. Bishop takes h6. No, this doesn't work because the knight is also covering that. I thought I spotted something. Bishop takes h6 doesn't work. Still 4 against 4, so that's why both engines probably agree that this is kind of equal. So the bishop sacrifice wasn't the mistake. So white should be somewhat better. Knight here, attacking the rook and the pawn. So rook here, knight here, attacking the rook again. So rook, let's say there, and now you can get rid of that bishop and can set up something like that. And after c4 you could go there, you could go there. Okay, but then you kind of gave black an outside passer. 4 against 4. c6, 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 d7, queen takes d7, queen takes, rook takes. At this endgame it should be even. There's just nothing. Knight c5, rook there. Okay, you have discoveries, but not quite useful discoveries. So let's say, no, let's just let the bishop stay here for a while. Rook there. Knight f6, you have to get back into the game. Knight there, pawn here, takes, and going here. Should be a somewhat better endgame for white, but not really winning. Let's see what both engines say about that. Yeah, it should be better for white, but it's not winning. Yeah, how to crack the Berlin. That's because the opening was called Rui Lopez Berlin Defense or Berlin Wall. Yeah, d7. Going into that end game looks interesting. And I think I learned something from that game. It wasn't that complicated, that game. It was straightforward with basic ideas. What about if you let the queens on the board? Let's say you go queen here. Okay, then you could grab that one. Could get pretty dangerous for... No, you can't because of knight d7 and now attacking the rook. Okay, bishop here could be no, it's not, because just taking there, going there. Check, going there, check, and picking up the bishop. So it's actually not that interesting. So queen takes d7. Not sure. Queen here is also nice. But just king h7. Queen here, knight there, check, eliminating the knight, eliminating here. I think this could now get pretty dangerous for white. So why allow this? And Houdini went into the end game by playing queen takes d7, rook takes d7, and now I think knight c5 is a good move. Yeah, knight c5, rook here, knight there, taking the bishop, and this end game, it might be better for white, but I'm not quite sure. Rook takes d7, knight c5, rook d8, leaving the a pawn hanging. So knight c5, rook a7. What's the big deal here? Rook a7. Yeah, probably just... Oh no, you cannot go there. At least not now, because the bishop is still covering this. So let's say knight here, rook there, knight takes, king takes, and rook here. Okay, knight f6, you have to get back. Pawn here. Knight there, let's say. Let's try this time. Takes, d6, d5, and now knight here, stopping the pawn from continuing, but this just attacks it, and after knight here, pawn there, rook there. Okay, this it should be even. It really should. There is probably nothing. There is just nothing. No. Knight c5 we have, rook d8. Why wait? So let's go back. What about rook here? about rook here? Okay, you have this discovery, but you have it all the time. So yeah, I would still go there. Whatever. Attacking the rook. Rook e8. Knight here, check. Oh, knight here. This is a pain. Yeah, you don't take the bishop, you go knight c7. And now you lose the a-pawn anyway, so why bother? So let's go rook here and knight takes there, and this will be the board position. Probably, and white is up a pawn in that case. How to convert this is difficult, but white is up a pawn. Okay, this maneuver. Yeah, knight here, yeah, but you don't take this bishop, you just fork here with knight c7, and the bishop is conveniently covering that square here, so this doesn't really achieve anything. So rook d8 we had. Instead of this, rook d8, giving up the pawn anyway, and white doesn't even take it. White plays c4, probably. But now rook d8 could come. Knight here, going after that square, so let's prevent this. But then the h-pawn would hang, so it's difficult to hold everything together. Knight d6. What about that one? Knight takes. Let's not take it with the king. Let's take it with the knight. Pawn takes, rook, bishop here, attacking the rook. Let's say you attack the knight, and then pawn here, knight c5. No, knight c5 loses due to rook there. So, but what else can you do? Let's go king here. Yeah, now rook a8 was played. Rook d1. Rook d1, not going after the pawn. Rook d1. So c4, rook a8, and rook d1. Rook d1. Yeah, I will go a4 to get rid of this weakness. Takes, and now check. Check. You cannot go up because of bishop here, so you have to go back. Keep on defending everything. But now knight here. Yeah, you kind of lose a pawn anyway, because takes, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, check. Rook here, rook there. d5, rook here. Bishop there, completely controlling the knight. Yeah, white is simply better here. What else can I say? So, yeah. Let's go to the starting position and let's see both evaluations. Both engine thinks that this is +1 for white, and they don't have so much time left, only 5 minutes to play it out. So let's go to that position. yeah, forget it. It's just too fast now. So the end game I will look up later. And it seems as though that white will win that end game. Being up a pawn now. 5 minutes versus 4. Yeah, this is now not great with this passed pawn and the bishop versus the knight. King here. Bishop d3 probably. Yeah. And I think it's over. Black can resign it. It was a really nice game here. Check. King c6, the only move. Rook there. It's just a mop-up chop now. Rook f6, it threatens. King d5, rook f6. And this should be it. Rook f6 should be the end. h5, you lose yet another pawn. g5. h7. Rook here, rook there, defending the pawn. Rook king c6. King g3. Yeah, it will be endgame 2 pawns versus 0 with completely nothing to fear. Knight takes b7. You kind of have to need to leave these pieces on the board, but now there are 2 pawns with this position. In this endgame it's just basically over. The h pawn is pushed. Knight going back. Rook here pinning the knight. Rook b3 check. King g4. h4. Yeah, I think now it's a technical win, so I will put this away. I adjust it as a win for white. It's now adjudicated as a win for white, and I want to see the end game now. So the whole game, let's just follow it through shortly. It was a Rui Lopez Berlin defense with this exchange, and yeah, this is all kind of nice. f5, this is how you should play it. Takes, bishop takes, and now d4. Bishop takes, h3, d takes, queen here, takes, and now this pin. Knight g4 threatens, so h6, d takes, c6. If you grab it, you lose due to a fork. So c6, and now this endgame. Yeah, because it's winning, that's why Houdini went into it. Takes. Why bishop here? Allowing this rook to come there. Wait, something like this I analyzed during the game. 6 y rook there. Oh yeah, it's simple, because if you don't do it, if you, let's say, just bring the king into the game by doing that, then pawn here, rook there, rook there, I'm not sure, rook here, it's just lost, because now bishop here is coming, and if you move the king somewhere, rook somewhere, then you bring a king, a rook, and it's basically over. Rook up for white, so that's why this wasn't possible. So that's why rook b8 was played, giving up that pawn, and this is now a technical win. This we saw, and now these two pawns are just completely crushing. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Ciao.